Good afternoon, Bulldozer Power fans, and welcome back to Motorsport Manager. We start out today with the World Motorsport Championship having completed the 11th round of the season in Phoenix. And it's James Fishburne who comes away on the top of the podium, with Mostly Sane and Jens Bergman closing in from second and third. This puts Veloz still out in front, and frankly, Veloz has got a massive lead. But now is, with his fourth place finish this weekend, you have to question whether he can hang on to that lead as the season continues, especially since Fishburne now is a mere 13 points behind. Meanwhile, in the European Racing Series that has just finished its race in Guildford, Hans 00 comes away with the win and a massive 22 points. Sarah Thomas in second, Espen Roe in third. This means that Roe is still out in front, but now only by 2 points, as 00 is closing the Ozu Motor Team driver down at a rate of knots. For the team that matters, for Bulldozer Power, Hazel in 18th on 45 points, Silvera in 14th. Silvera could go quite a lot happier? Well, certainly. Could go quite a lot higher if she were to manage to put in a couple of good drives. But time is running out in this season. So we've got an interview request from Carlota Marquez from JTV Sport. Do I have time to answer a few questions? For you, always. Nicholas Hazer has claimed that your brakes are holding the team back, and the technical commentators seem to agree. Is it true? Here's the thing, Nicholas. You can't brake for toffee. We could have kittens attempting to cross the road, and you'd hit them every single time without any stretch of the imagination required. You cannot brake at all. So I have to hold my hands up, our brakes are awful, and I need to work on improving them? No. He needs to button it. There we go. That's all there is. I will quite happily kick him in the face a little bit until he starts getting some better results. Sophie Richards reporting from Central Sports Network, and it's a hard-fought win for 00 in Guildford. Definitely pushed to the limits. So we've got another scouting report in, and it's on Adrian Earl. Apparently he is one of the weakest drivers in the entire European Racing Series. So far, he's not actually ever had a competitive drive. So this doesn't really surprise me. Let's have a look. Overtaking 2. 4 adaptability, 4 fitness, 5 feedback, 3 focus, 5 consistency, which makes him which is a result of him being stable. Really good at braking, but he's barely ever going to need it, given that he's rubbish at everything else. So another driver there who will not be driving for me. What I'm looking for is someone who is happy to pay for the privilege, or potentially a diamond in the rough. Hong Lao we've looked at before, I'm certain of it. Eva Blasi. With Blasi. Why the hell not? Can't afford them even slightly. Cost per race of 830 grand. Goodness gracious. We're looking at Dark Fibreru, Virtua Telescoperi. No, that's me interpreting the name. That's Telspicori. There you go. 19 years old. Gets paid 1.7 million a race. That'll be a hell of a driver. What I'm after, find me someone who's ridiculously cheap. Cost per race of, peanuts. There you go. Frankie Parks. Oh, look at that. He's a dog. Right, get that scouting underway. So, Sarah Thomas is hated by her own mechanics. The ERS may not be a popularity contest, but generally helps if drivers aren't completely despised by their mechanics. Over at Firebird MRT, things are getting nasty. Thomas is a complete prat. An anonymous source told us, you can't talk to her like a human being. She lives in La La Land. But what do you expect when they get paid millions a year? That's some dissent going there at Firebird MRT. Meanwhile, Gary's finished with the cars. And that means we can go and have a look back in the garage and see what we've got going on right now. So let's start at the top of the list. We've got 2 good sets of brakes just sat there. Excellent. They're both ready to go. We could do with a little bit more performance, maybe. Let's bang these chaps into performance and see if we can't squeak out a little bit more from there. Alex is going to get that done before the race. Good lad, Alex. I like the way you're working. Then if we have a look at the engine situation, again we've got our better engine is about to be completed, which is good. Could do potentially with a little bit more reliability, but we'll live with that. Our second engine is a pile of not very good at all. Then we have a look at the gearboxes. We've got one really kick-ass gearbox there, and that's a definite high performer. Our secondary gearbox, not so much, but actually it's not actually that bad. But when you get to suspension, that's where the trouble sets in. The secondary suspension that we're using here is just garbage. It's rotten. But we are at least working on the better suspension and getting its reliability up. So we will leave that alone for the moment, and we'll revisit it before the next race. Now, here's the thing. We've got 4 million quid in the bank. It's going to cost me £1 million per race, and I believe I have but 2 races left in the season. I have but 3 races left in the season. So we've got Tonda, Milan, and the Black Sea. So I have enough money now for one more part, and it can be anything, because when I say it's $1 million a race, obviously it's it's $750,000. So I've got 1.75 give or take million remaining to be spent this season. And yes, I am seeing it as a challenge to spend every penny. And then we get a couple more sponsorship deals after that point, and it's possible that they could have an upfront payment in there as well. But there's no guarantee on that front. So I could spend 1.5 on another part of some description, potentially even run into the red. I'm going to chew on that. Do we want to do it now? Because basically, I think with the next part that I make, I will go with one that will be ready for next season, so that we have massive opportunity to explode out of the blocks at the start of the year. Right, our suspension build has been finished. So we've got a new set of suspension. Oh, look at this one. Up to 175. Very nice. Risk of rule break low there. So clearly there is a chancy bit of development going on in there. Okay, well we can cope with that. How would one know? That's how one would know. Right, so I want this for next season. Now, I don't doubt that those of you in the comments section will let me know whether improving it now is going to make the slightest bit of difference. But I'm gonna get it into the improvement queue. Now, can we, if we tweak these chaps around a little bit, 21 days after the race, could be better. Well, I want to try and max that out anyway. So we've got a second set of suspension. I'm not going to use it. In which case, why am I bothering with reliability? Let's get let's get our suspension done, and then what we really want to do. Hang on, if we do like that, 1 day after the race, 3 days before the race, 6 days before the race, all of these will be done. Perfect. And then we can stick it in and get the performance updated. I'm still going to chew on whether I build a new part or not. I'll have enough time in the races remaining to get it fixed up, but we'll just have to see how that pans out. So the scouting on Dark Fibreru has been done. Actually, a pretty good driver by the looks of things. Braking's, no, actually, what am I talking about? Braking's so-so. Cornering is so-so. Smoothness, good. Overtaking, poor. Consistency, good. Adaptability, good. Fitness, good. Feedback, pretty good. Focus, so-so. Okay, right. And then with radio shy, -5 to feedback. Holy cow. Hates leading. Wow. Wow, this is a driver who does not want to win, ever. Is a resource hog. Teammates will not let us improve so quickly. Oh, dear. And is designing a clothing line. Wow, she's a nightmare. And she doesn't want to pay to come and play for me, so we'll just move on to our next target. Right, this is going to be Katie Linares. Get it done. This is Predator's backup driver, so I think you can gauge for yourself just how talented young Katie is or is not. So the 12th round of the World Motorsport Championship is completed in Vancouver, and Ray Don, who we've not heard from in a while, manages to snatch the win ahead of Avalos, who helped secure his position at the top of the championship, with Walter White coming in a rare but well-deserved third place. This doesn't do anything, obviously, in the top of the championship, but with Fishburne finishing in a disappointing 7th place, as you can see here, then maybe his charge is over. Johnson, also, we've not heard from in a while, and the Scuderia team are going to have to step it up if they're going to make a charge in this season. The Asia Pacific Super Cup has finished, coming back from Sydney for its 9th round of the season, and Carlo T. Curis picks up 12 points for first place, with the aforementioned Dark Fiberiru coming in second and David Fetes in third. The top of the table, Carlo is now 16 points clear, looking like a champion awaiting to be crowned, with A. Floridi in second and Wolfbite now having slipped down to third. Carlo Otti in fourth. So yet another scouting report in, and this one is on Too Much Tech, and she is a hell of a driver. 10 braking is possibly her worst attribute, but then the cornering's pretty good. The smoothness is very, very good indeed. Overtaking is good. Consistency, adaptability, fitness, it's all there. This is a driver who is going to win races, if not seasons. However, in traits, crash happy, -2. Focus there. Hard worker, extra fitness, and good with the mechanic, and a rival with another driver. Now, if I had the money, this would be quite the injection of talent into the team. I'm not entirely sure why. She will have been scouted as part of my contracts expiring this season charge, but now we're going to move on and we'll have a look at Steve Mush next as we work our way up the price list. But that's not all. We've got Anna reporting on the race coming up in Tondela. It's a 25-lapper, 3-mile. The lap record is 1:36. Things are expected to be dry, so it's going to rain. Okay, well, we'll read that up. Freddie has also turned up, just to mention the telemetry center once more. Gary is saying that he has finished his work in the factory, and that the lads are now all sitting around doing nothing. Don't worry, Gary, I've got a job for him. So the queue is completely empty right now. That's a positive place to start. Let's get that gearbox in and tweak that up to maximum. Now, on its own, we could have that complete one day after the race. It's maybe tempting. Let's have a look at the brakes here. So brakes maxed on for both cars. Reliability as good as we need it to be. For the engine, maxed on our primary engine, as near as damn it maxed on the second one. We get down to the gearbox. The secondary gearbox isn't so hot. The first one has got another 20 points of capability available, so I think we possibly ought to focus on that. Then we get down to suspension. We've got our chancy part for next year that still needs looking at. Frankly, I'm going to stick these in. I'm going to let Alex here just focus on this up to the race. In fact, I might stick something in for a bit of reliability tweakage. What should we go with here? This secondary suspension's not all that. Actually, the secondary gearbox here is not all that either. We will leave it so just Gary himself is applying his expertise to developing that in the run-up to the race. So Luke Finley Maxwell is here from XBC Sport with his preview roundup. Espen Rowe is going into the Grand Prix at the top of the drivers' standings. Former driver McNamara isn't expecting to see that change. Can't see 00 making up too much ground in Portugal. Rowe is driving too well. Everyone's been saying that for weeks and weeks on end, but Mr. 00 is closing that gap. 2 weeks to go till the end of the season, 2 races to go to the end of the season. We're rapidly approaching crunch time. Roe claims that he's not feeling the pressure of being a man to catch. Doesn't bother me at all, says some Ozu Motor Team man. P. Rutu has claimed that a podium finish is doable for Vixala Motorsport this weekend, saying that Tom Della is one of my favourite tracks on the circuit, so I can't wait to get out there. So here we are once again. It's select a sponsor, and we're going to keep playing it safe. Golden Tiger getting the nod there. Wouldn't it be nice if we could, if we could bid for that and only lose 135 grand? But no, we're not going to chance it. 13th place. We have aspirations, but we also have realistic goals, dreams. Right, let's have a look. What we got here? Let's fit some parts to these cars and see if we can't make them go as well as possible. Right, what have we got? Who's in better business right now? Hazel is absolute garbage, isn't he? Although his overtaking does make him quite startling. Vanessa, meanwhile, I'm paying 3 times as much, but she just doesn't seem to want it. I mean, Hazel is currently rated 2.5 stars. Vanessa is rated 2.5 and a bit, maybe, in total. There's really nothing to call between them. Hazel is all about getting those overtaking moves in, but he's absolutely wretched when it comes to braking. So I'm going to give him the better brakes, which he already has, so you better stop complaining about that. Do I want to average these drivers out? That's the question. Or do we want to put all of our eggs in one basket? I'm going to switch this around. We'll put the better engine in with Vanessa for this one and hope that her improved braking skill can carry the rest of the way. We'll also give her the better gearbox because, that seems sensible to put the right engine and the right gearbox together. And then when it comes to suspension, who's my cornering champ here? 9 versus 9. They are exactly the same. They are both as talentless as one another when it comes to cornering. So I'm going to put Vanessa in the better car this time round. Hazel had his chance. Vanessa just did not show up in the last race. I'm hoping that by changing the parts up, we can get a result from Vanessa Silveira. So we're off to Portugal. I hope to see you there in a few short moments. So the track does look very dry. The sun is out. There's a few clouds kicking about, but it's sure to be a fantastic race weekend. Unconventionally, I'm going to stick Megan out in car 1 because I've not done it before. There we go. That's as good a reason as any, and she is twice as good at feedback than young Mr. Hazel, who can just sit himself down and wait and see what happens. So beg your pardon, Megna. I'm forever getting a name wrong. Right, let's adjust the downforce here. 15.8. No. Let's go 15.6. There we go. Right. Standard procedures apply. Handling's pretty much where I want it. Let's get the speed balance tweaked. Now, given the amount of time that I spend at Tom Della, if I were to have, I don't know, a piece of paper handy, I could find the optimum settings immediately and just go from there. If you are attempting to manage your own team, I would recommend you probably do this. That would seem to be a sensible thing to do. Right, we'll confirm that. Right, Vanessa, what you got going on there, sister? Right in the middle at the moment. Now, her mechanic is suggesting that, I don't know, her mechanic has got a screw loose by the looks of things. Let's drop the downforce to 14 and 24, because this is very different to the recommendation for the other car. Now, while these cars are set up quite differently, I would expect the recommendation to be somewhat similar. We'll put you out on the super softs as well. In fact, these aren't even super soft; these are just soft. Let's go with that. Right, practice time. So there we go. Both drivers heading out of the pits. We will stick them on the standard, relatively active driving style here. and hopefully we'll get some good feedback quite quickly. So both drivers are now saying that the handling is absolutely bang on. We're going to bring them straight back in. We won't get them to complete their flying lap, but instead we'll make an adjustment and send them straight out again. Given that practice doesn't count for anything at all other than perfecting your car setup, this would seem to be the thing to do. There we go, Silvera's back in. So the downforce is very poor, while the handling is pretty good and the speed balance is adequate. So clearly heading with more downforce is going to be the way to go. We will try for a that's a big shift in downforce there. But 16.5, 26.5, that should do the trick. Meanwhile, I think we will leave that handling adjustment where it is, and we're clearly going to need. Short gear ratios does not feel right to me, but that seems to be what the driver is suggesting. So we'll leave that as is as she heads back out again. Meanwhile, we'll have a look at what Megna's got to say for herself, and again, not happy with the downforce. So more downforce is needed. A greater focus. There it is again. So more focus on acceleration than top end. Interesting. So we'll again shift this. We're gonna shift even further, I think. Let's go into the 27s. That's quite a long way. 17.6, 27.6. That should be relatively close to the sweet spot. That slight change to the handling there could be the difference between the great and an awesome. Stints are all good. Tyre choice is all good. Get back out there. So we're following Silvera as she heads back around the track for her second session. Obviously, I want to get the drivers in once more for just some fine-tuning and in order to build up that setup knowledge just a little bit more if I can. Given the additional feedback that Chowdhury is supposed to be able to offer, I'm a little disappointed so far in her progress through the setup knowledge action bar. I had hoped for maybe a little bit more than that, but never mind. I'm sure it's all for the best. So Silvera's now on her flying lap. Loves the changes to downforce, but I think there's probably still more to be done. So I'm going to arrange for her to come back in. Chowdhury, meanwhile, very quiet, saying precious little over the team radio. Oh no, there we go. She also prefers the aerodynamics, playing it jolly safe now that her teammate has already given some feedback on the subject. So we're going to send them out for one more run, and at that point we will run the car till it's dry, hopefully recording a lap time in the process. So the feedback here is that the downforce is good, which means that the 27.5 is probably closer to the excellent that we were previously chasing. So very high downforce indeed. Gear ratios are already excellent, so if we whap you back to 31 there, that should do the trick. Handling's great, and if we continue in that direction, maybe we can get just a little more out of it. We'll put on, do we want fresh tyres? No, we don't want fresh tyres. Get back out there, make me proud. And in comes Megna. Let's see what she has to say for herself. Actually only good with the downforce, so maybe a little less is required here. Actually, let's double check that against the previous time. Poor moved to good, so maybe even more. No, surely not. I mean, we've made quite a radical jump there, moving from poor to good. Let's dial it up just a little bit more so that we can be certain about that. If we can get that into a great, that would be splendid. Slightly less, slightly more rather, to get the to keep the steering balance exactly where we want it. We'll just nudge the camber a smidge there, and the gear ratios are at great. I really don't want to shorten those gear ratios anymore. That feels like a terrible idea. Although, given that it is Hazel that will be driving this car, and we know that he's bad at braking, and therefore getting on the gas, getting up to speed quickly, could make all the difference. But he's gonna be struggling on the straights. You know what? Caution, wind, throw it. So given that the lap record's 1:36 and there's just a shade over 3 minutes to go, this is enough time, hopefully, for Silvera to get in a full timed lap so we can get a feel for just how well this car is set up. I think that actually this is the least confident I've been about my car setup all season, knowing how badly it's been underperforming in recent races. And the tweaks that I have made to the setup ahead of this final session, they feel maybe slightly extreme, and as such, I'm going to be interested to see exactly what manner of performance we manage to get out of it. So Silvera's now on a flying lap. She's 1.2 seconds slower than previously. This doesn't sound right. Okay, this is off the lead. So she, between sectors 1 and 2, she lost 0.8 of a second. Handling feels a bit worse. Interesting. I'll tell you what looks worse is your performance. You have the better of the two cars, and we'll measure against this number that's chasing us. When we do get to stretch our legs, it looks like we managed to pull ahead a little bit. But then getting into the corner, look at this. That cornering is making a massive amount of difference there. For whoever that is that just came in. Anyway, Silvera's managed to record a lap time of whatever, but it's only 3 seconds off the lead, 1:40, and that's good enough for 12th. And she's not completely overjoyed about the handling. So maybe a minor tweakette, and we will be in the good stuff. So there we go, Silvera managing 12th overall, which is the best she's managed to do for a couple of races now. But as we already know, and as I constantly point out to you, practice means absolutely nothing. Magna managed to come in 18th, but that's minus 1.6 seconds further behind Silvera. But again, there's not a lot we can really say about that. So over on their internet, Taylor Bouchette. So happy that P-Rotor is at Vexala Motorsport. It's a match made in deleted. The Gazzetta dei Motori, Lisa Amorosi, is here. Looks like 00 is driving well this weekend. Wonder if that can delete it. Emidio Barreto, there's another fan. Serious looking dude. That was okay from Bulldozer Power. I guess we'll find out their real pace on Sunday. Yes, we will. And UKSN Victor Keller, impressive stuff from P. Ruto of Exala deleted. Okay, well, you know, not a lot of chatter about the fine lads and lasses at Bulldozer Power this weekend, and maybe that's a good omen. So here we are, it's race day, the sun's out, the fans are out, we're looking for 13th place. That's all important. Hazel's starting 3rd on the grid, Vanessa is starting in 7th. But let's fill in these gaps here. Do we want soft tyres, or, well, we haven't got super soft. Car condition drop slower. That's quite useful, but not for this race. We're going to take those. We're going to stay out on softs. I'm going to check the weather. It's sunny and getting sunnier. Now, given that I tend to run out of fuel at around the same time that the tyres are giving up, I think that that soft tyres are going to be the way to go. Car setup here, excellent, good. So we do want to tweak the handling just a touch there. Speed balance, good. Yeah, that's the thing. I'm going to have to look at the setups, and while I had previously promised myself that I wouldn't tweak car setups in between sessions. Well, we found the downforce. It's 28 on this car. That's going to be slow. But there we go. Let's just tweak that gear ratio 1 notch. That should do the trick. Yeah, flipping better do the trick. All right, we'll confirm that. Meanwhile, for Vanessa, let's have a look. Now, we did this in the first season. It never ended particularly well. Let's have a look. So if we adjust the handling towards just a smidge more understeer, and as you could see in that last practice session, she was losing it in every corner. She was getting taken in every corner quite easily. I think we have to go with our instinct here, and just adjust the suspension by 1 notch, maybe by 2 notches. What the heck? We're going to leave it all on the field, or potentially all over the track. But I'll be blowed if we don't make our best stab at getting a good result here. So we'll start out with Hazel being incredibly aggressive because he is exceptional at the front of the grid. While Vanessa, we will go in a slightly more conservative but still an attacking stance overall. So here's the grid, and it's mush and plastic up front as per usual, with Hazel and Chris Shaw on the second row. Then we've got Salmone Longo and the Reverend Plastic on third row. Then it's Vanessa and Megahertz, followed by Sean Mendez and Maiko Kitasato on the fifth row. Hong Lao, our scouting target, and Trolley Fodder are in 11th and 12th, with Playmoto and P. Ruto on the 7th row of the grid, followed by Finger Puppet, Sarah Thomas, Scott Price, Derek Henderson, who is charging for the lead sometimes, followed by Hans 00, who is snapping at the heels of championship leader Espen Roe. We're on the grid, waiting for the green sign. Activate. Hazel very slow there, but that was Chris Shaw really getting his boot down when the lights went out. Hazel, atypically, I will say for Hazel, not getting the best of starts. But he's making up for it now as he claws his way back to third in the first couple of corners. Then he's back down to fourth. No, that was rubbish. Just a terrible line there, and he's lost it immediately. That's simply not helpful. Silvera's down for the lap overall, not really making much of a difference, but it will be the overtaking on this first lap that is the making of these drivers, as Hazel slips now to 7th. Got the inside line, but it's going to slow him on his acceleration, despite the fact that we've got those gear ratios ratcheted towards acceleration, as Hazel is now, he's battling, is what's going on. This is properly tight action going on here as we up the race tempo. Hazel's in 6th, but as you can see through all of these bunching up corners, anything can happen at pretty much any time. You just have to be willing to put your foot down and go for it. Hazel's going through those tyres really rather quickly, so we'll ease off on the tyres a little bit, but we'll leave him going when it comes to engine usage for the time being. At least until a relatively healthy gap builds up ahead of Kitasato, who's currently in 7th, as Hazel goes through into 5th once again. And it's, Kitasato must be having problems as he drops 2 places there on that corner. Not that I really care. It's not like I'm invested in his performance one way or the other. Silvera, meanwhile, for those of you who care, is basically blowing it. She's in 15th, battling for 14th, but this is a driver who is doing her utmost to be booted off the team at the end of the season. Hazel looks to have made fourth place now. He'll lose it by the end of the lap. There it is. Loses it on that corner every time. We're going to have to ease off on the engine usage because I want to keep some fuel in the tank. I'm happy to bring him in early, but there's early and then there's ridiculously early. Now, Trolley Fodder is out in 3rd place at the moment, and that's the fastest driver on the track with the medium compound tyre. It would be interesting to see how well they manage to hang on in there as Hazel dumps places left, right and centre, down into 7th now. And I'm hoping it's not just purely because I invited him to thrash the hell out of the engine, which is why he was doing well, as he's now in 10th, 11th place. Hazel there, stinking the place up, going from the front of the grid very quickly down into no longer at the front of the grid. As the tyre temperature goes through the roof, we're going to have to ease down on the tyres there, ease down some more on the tyres to try and get them cool again so we can do something with them. But this is classic Bulldozer Power at work here. It is basically we've lost this one, very early on. Now, we do tend to do reasonably well when it comes to pit strategy. But look at that. Hazel there just getting caned through that corner by megahertz. I mean, that's a tragedy. And he pulls it back on the next one, but his line's pretty solid going through that chicane, managing to pull back 12th place. I mean, like I care. I mean, it's 12th place for crying out loud. There's next to nothing about it. Silvera drops to 17th. Silvera, honestly, there's a driver who really isn't bulldozer material, even though I say so myself. She's got the better car. The only thing that Hazel's got that is advantageous is the brakes on his car. I'm going to bring her in. There is absolutely nothing to lose by bringing Silvera in early. I'm going to put her back out on medium tyres because she's not to be trusted with the better ones. We will fill up with fuel, and we're just going to have to hope that she can stick it out there for long enough to actually make this worthwhile. We're not going to chance anything on the pit stop. We're just going to bring her in, and then she can go mad with regard to tyre wear, because it's not like it's going to make the slightest bit of difference. And knowing that she's coming into the pit, she's actually started driving a little bit better on this lap. Wouldn't surprise me to see her take 14th before entering the pit lane. Actually, it probably would surprise me. But then I am so easily surprised. Hazel, meanwhile, is now best part of a second behind Kitasato, although it seems much closer than that. I'm going to bring him in, but he'll be in on the next lap, and we'll keep him out on the soft tyres. This will help to space out my two drivers. Park condition, I should hope, is in pretty good nick. It is. Pit strategy will try a fast, given that he's an aggressive, chance-taking driver. We'll see if a fast pit stop can actually make a difference. 1.5 laps of fuel left. The tyres are in a good place, actually. Punch it. Give it the works. You've got enough fuel to get in there, but let's make it happen. Silvera is now exiting the pits in 19th place, fully topped up on fuel, fully reinforced with tyres. Hazel, meanwhile, is on vapours, but should have plenty of fuel left to get to the pits. Better not run out of fuel again. I will be displeased. I have got the nerve. I almost didn't have the nerve to keep him out on a very aggressive strategy there. Turns out nerves are just fine. Thank you very much. That pit stop seemed to go pretty well. He's dropped to 16th, but he is in on fresh stuff. Now, Finger Puppet has come in already with a fresh set of tyres and has exited in 11th. But everybody ahead of that still has to come in. So it's down to Hazel now to capitalise on his early pit stop to see if we can't jump a few places when other drivers are coming in. Thomas there, Sarah Thomas in 14th place is also pitted. And yeah, there's Puppet. And Hazel's back in 16th. It's going to be tricky. It's going to be interesting to see. So here we go. They're all in the pits now. This is where we either capitalise or die. Henderson, 00, Hertz, Ruto and Price have still yet to pit. Silvera now is happily making 19th place her own. She's fired. That's it. No, I'm done with her. That's her done this season. When given the better parts, is unable to make any kind of a decent performance out of it. She isn't getting me any marketing. She isn't getting me any results. Starting brightly this season, while other cars had the reliability problems that so often plagues teams in the early parts of the season, was the only time she managed to do anything at all. Since then, absolutely nothing. She's off the team. This is a Bulldozer Power edict. She's out of here. She's gone. Right, let's ease off on the tyres there for Mr. Hazel, because while he is making hay at the front of the pack here, well, I say front, while he is making hay in midfield, he is heating up those tyres very, very quickly. And the second I tell him to ease back a little bit, he starts driving like a turkey again. 15th. Who does he think he is to get away with 15th? Nobody is allowed to do 15th. As Silvera actually makes a move and overtakes someone. Goes completely against her character, but somehow she's managed to do it anyway. As Hazel and Chris Shaw are battling it out. and the tyre temperature is still going absolutely bananas. We're going to have to ease it back up some more. We're going to have to back off on the tyres a little bit. Hopefully we can keep them grippy for a little while longer if we're just a little bit more gentle with them. Well, I mean, given that we've eased off there, we actually managed to overtake someone, which was surprising. But I'll take it every day of the week. Right, let's go up to neutral again. We're going to properly micromanage this stuff, although I don't really need the tooltip. If I'm honest, we can probably live without the tooltip going on. Push, 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 man. Give it some. As soon as I see that needle move, we'll ease back off again. But until then, you keep driving your race, sunshine. Make it happen. Make me proud. Silvera's up to something at the back of the pack, but I'm over it. Whatever she's up to. Until she overtakes Hazel, she's dead to me. And you know the last driver that fell foul of that. Yeah, back off the tyres again, Hazel. Nah, this is hopeless. I can't keep backing off. We lose so much speed every time we back off on the tyres. Maybe we're just going to have to be more neutral to begin with. Although that said, the Reverend Plastic is absolutely hammering his tyres. I call hacks on that, as is Double Zero. I mean, they're all giving it large on the tyres on a regular basis. And, you know, maybe it's getting them somewhere. Let's try it on Vanessa and see if she can make a difference as we wait for 3/4 of an hour to hit the back of the pack here. Go on. Don't give a damn about them. Do some overtaking. It's a fundamental part of race driving. And you're terrible at it. We'll tell her to come into the pits as she's got less than a lap left after this one. Come back in. Fill her up. That'll probably do the trick. 10 laps left after the pit stop, adding 9 laps of fuel, so those 10 laps in there. Maybe it'll last, maybe it won't. Do we want to go? Yeah, what the heck? There's no damage now in being aggressive about this. Might as well throw it all to chance. See if we can't do something. Just going through tyres like a fat guy and the hot dogs and all of that business. And there it is. So we're going to make her drive very easy for the rest of the race. There's no sense in trying anything else. We're going to focus on Nicholas Hazel, who is back into contention in 13th, which is lovely. Just ahead of Hong Lao, the driver that at one point we were considering replacing him with. His tyres are at max temperature. We're going to have to bring him in as the condition drops to far below what is actually acceptable. There's 8 laps left to run. I think these soft tyres are going to be the way to roll on this. We'll fill him up entirely so that he can be slightly more aggressive on the fuel. His suspension's taken a bit of a kick in, as has his front wing, but and the gearbox for that matter. But that should be more than capable of getting him through to the end of the race. Right, don't even worry about never mind. Worry about the fuel a little bit. There we are. Let's get you out on a reasonably aggressive strategy here. So he's going to exit in 15th, just behind whoever that was that went through, which was Steve Mush. Oh, the ignominy of being overtaken by Steve Mush. We're going to have to take that place back, and one more besides. Sarah Thomas has been in. It's going to exit in 10th by the looks of it. That's Reverend Plastic coming in. He's also gone for the softer compound. Finger Puppets in, staying with the mediums that have done so well for him so far in this race. As Hazel is actually only just clinging on to 15th place on the track. Put your foot down for a minute, man. Go on, give it some juice. Heavy on the gas for a moment. Let's put some distance between you and this Charlie behind us. See if we can't make some hay here. Only a little bit of hay, but let's make some, and then we'll ease you back off again. We're not having you run out of fuel like you did last summer. So Hazel in 15th, and he's a good 7 seconds clear behind Sean Mendez, who's currently in 13th. But here comes the big pit wave right now, and I guess it's Price that we're really chasing. And it looks like we could... Oh, it's going to be very close. As Hazel now has 12th, but he's not going to hold it. He's definitely not going to hold it. Not unless I tell him to do something reckless. Do something reckless. Go on, hammer it. Go, go, go. 13th is not enough security for me. I need 12th for me to be confident that you can make it through this race, as his tyres start to get very warm indeed, and we've still got 5 laps to go, and he's not got enough to take 12th. So we'll ease it straight back again. There you go. That was a momentary piece of excitement there. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Meanwhile, we actually need to heat Silvera's tyres up a little bit. She's letting them get too cold. And we're going to have to ease off on the tyres here with Hazel, or he's going to burn through them before the end of the race and lose a significant amount of time in the process. Now, he does have 2 seconds over Hong Lao, and actually he's closed right up on Steve Mush as well. Now, Mush is driving one of the worst cars on the grid, so I would hope that Hazel can make this move, and there it is, goes through. His tyre temperature is awful, so the degradation on those tyres is going to be off the chart right now, as Steve Mush drops like a rock out of the top 13, and Hazel now looks a little bit more confident as Hong Lao is in his rear view mirror. But I still need to ease off on those tyres a little bit if I can, because they're going to be giving him next to no grip at all in the blazing heat of Portugal and the blazing heat of Nicholas Hazel's undoubted talent. Right, with only a few laps left to go, we've got 4 laps left to go, and I'm going to tell Vanessa just to throw all caution to the wind as she now leapfrogs into 17th place. Now, I suspect this is coming down to the reliability game once again, and showing that the investment we have made in building reliable parts for this car are not necessarily wasted, but still a way to go, as Hazel now in 11th might actually do this. We're going to ease off on the tyres so that if he needs them, he can have them. Hopefully we can get the temperature down just a smidge before it matters. Silvera now down to under 3 laps of fuel. She should have enough to finish. I should probably ease her back off, but with I guess that Swans Plastic and Steve Mush coming up, maybe that would maybe we should shift focus. Hazel's not going to be doing much for a minute. Let's go and have a look. Here she comes, and she's been given instructions that she can go through all the fuel in that tank. Just show me some excitement there. Come on, Vanessa, you can do it. Show me that you know how to overtake. It's the one weak trumpet in your orchestra. Now you see, there it is again, just losing it there in that corner, braking too hard to allow those cars to get away. And we're going to have to ease back on the fuel as Hazel reports that he's got a major problem with a bit of his wing. Perfect. Excellent timing there. Excellent. That's exactly what we need. Well, drive the hell out of the car. You might as well. Right, ease back on the fuel here, Vanessa. I think we might have over-egged that a touch. Hopefully Hazel can hold on to take 13th, but he's losing speed all the time. This is painful, absolutely painful, as his tyres have had it. Apparently his front wing's in big trouble. He's on low fuel. We've got less than half a lap to go. He's got 2 places behind him with Price and Lau, and I'm hopeful. Vanessa's going to run out of fuel. There you go. Drop that to low. Doesn't really matter. All we need is Hazel to do it, and he's running low on fuel. Oh, for crying out loud, people! I tell you to rip it for half a lap, and you wreck everything. Do not lose till 11th. Well, that's a disappointment right there. Silvera's going to finish in 15th, in 18th, because everybody else had been lapped. But once again, fuel management there at the end was tricky, and it's Derek Henderson who comes away with the win. So there we go, and Nicholas Hazel finishing in 12th, which is very nice, earns us our sponsorship bonus. C. Mendez there lost 2 places after having been using an illegal part. And there's Swans Plastic again getting penalised 8 places for using an illegal part. That's shocking right there. Meanwhile, Derek Henderson not only finishes top in the race, but also got the fastest lap, which gives him the extra 2 points that he's going to need if he's going to make any kind of a charge on Espen Rowe at the top of the table. So in the Drivers' Championships, Nicholas Hazel now in 18th still, Vanessa in 14th, but Hazel is now only 7 points off his teammate, and there are 2 races left to run. Vanessa had better be looking over her shoulder. So here we are back in 4chan again, and Ida Pasalic is a fan. Octane Racing will never hold a candle to Ozu Motorim, not even in the same league. Bit of smack talk going on there. Espen Rowe, points mean prizes, but I want wins. You've had enough already. Don't get greedy. P. Ruto, well done to Derek Henderson on a deserved victory. I'll be up there with you as soon as my neck is no longer broken. Meanwhile, Jiro Kagawa from Motor Racing Magazine, a fairly average performance from Bulldozer Power. They must be looking on envious. I'm looking on enviously, flipping everybody at the moment. The team's a shambles. So here we are with the team report, and what have we got going on exactly? As Hazel picks up some points and Vanessa picks up some points, she might tip into 12 points of focus. Adaptability is not far off, but she doesn't really need either of those. What she needs is overtaking and an awful lot of it. Meanwhile, Hazel he's done reasonably well overall. May yet increase his fitness even further, despite the fact we don't really need it. His focus is diabolical. Hopefully we can get at least 1 point into his braking, but I'm not feeling it anytime soon. So with a 9th place finish in the teams currently, that's keeping Kurt pretty happy. 6% increase to his happiness, which is now 87%. So there's no chance that he's going to chuck us out at the end of the season. But what a disappointing race for Vanessa Silveira. She is not going to stick with us for next season. She's out of here. If I can release her from her contract or get her snapped up by somebody else, I'll do just that. If I can't, then maybe we soak up her salary some more. But I am significantly displeased with the performance of Silveira. Anyway, that'll wrap it up for this week. £1 million in sponsorship in. Thank you very much, my sponsorship friends, which means we only dump $500,000, well, 600k overall. Meanwhile, thank you very much for tuning in today. I've been Colonel Failure. Chuck a like at this one if you enjoyed the race, and please comment to say what you think we're going to achieve throughout the rest of this season. And subscribe if you've not yet done so to make sure that you come with us as we head into the last couple of races. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time. Cheerio.